Peter Michaels.
Patrick Bateman.
How are you?
We're going to Winnipeg.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to eventually.
We have to go to Winnipeg.
So we've had Liam, a.k.a. Boy Golden.
Yep.
We've had the other Liam doesn't really. Cancer Bats do a lot of work in Winnipeg, but I wouldn't consider them Winnipeg-based.
And not living in Winnipeg at the moment.
Some of them are.
Some of them are, okay, yeah.
Who else? We've had another Winnipeg guest, haven't we? On the road the stage, which is what you're listening to or watching right now.
And we're into episode 42. We're over 40 episodes in, and I've only got, there's only so much file space up here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm sure there's probably other Manitoba artists that we've done, but I don't know that that file might have been deleted already.
Anyways, I feel like there was a musician we were talking to about that really crazy DIY space that I saw show out in Winnipeg 10 years ago. But anyways, what's that? You got it?
Maybe Boy Golden was talking about that.
Maybe it was Boy Golden.
I think it might have been.
It's that's so 42 episodes, about 36, 37 guests at this point, I think.
Sure.
It's fair to say. Yeah, it's easy to. I mean, some of those were a long time ago.
Yes.
So yes, your file space.
So it's good.
Your memory is. You need to do a little.
It's okay that I cleanse every once in a while, and some of that stuff is just gone.
For sure. And what music to cleanse to? Sweet Alibi.
Sweet Alibi.
So we were given this record a couple weeks ago, at least. Yeah. We've been through it a few times. Really, really good stuff.
Just like a vibe. It's a vibe record, right?
And produced by the Mats from Royal Canoe, who are known worldwide at this point, I would suggest, for not just their in-studio production with Royal Canoe, but also their live shows.
What was the band that Royal Canoe was born out of?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if
is it the Waking Eyes?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know that.
Back to
tidbit. Yeah.
Not everything's totally still up in the. I think the Waking Eyes.
Okay, well, we'll do a fact check on that.
Okay, we'll do a fact
check on that. But the Wrecking Crew, speaking of fact checks, is the group of session players that I was trying to think of during this interview that you're about to listen to. So, speaking of fact checking,
these minds, they work really, really well. Let's see if I can remember this. A big thank you to our friends at Beau's Barn Stage.
Hello.
Tourism Red Deer.
Good day.
Sawback Brewing Company.
Cheers.
And Go Services Inc., who...
What up?
I don't know if did you see their post? It might have been this week or last week. They were raising a porta potty with a crane.
Dear God, no, I didn't. Was it a jackass stunt?
That's what I wanted to know if it was. They were moving this porta potty, and there's a couple of big buildings being built in Red Deer, so there's a couple of cranes in town.
Okay.
And this porta potty was going way up, and I kept waiting to see if somebody was in it or something. But
what a project.
Right?
I never thought about that. How do you get a porta potty at the top of a tower under construction? Crane. Interesting. I'll be honest, I still don't know how porta potties work, but that's another podcast.
We'll get into it.
And of course, a huge shout out to our friends and producers, Ryan and Riley here at Communal Creative Studios. I love when a guest like Jess brings up a band. And Ryan, our sound producer, our audio producer, the audio tech at Beau's, is in the background visibly excited.
And that happens at least once an episode.
It happens a lot. A lot. He knows his music. So shout out to them. And Jess Ayre from Sweet Alibi. Their new record, Make a Scene, is out on Friday, January 28th.
You got it.
So check it out. Hey, Jess, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Is it extremely cold where you are?
It is.
Yeah?
I feel like I'm always dressed like this anyways because I'm always cold, but it actually is cold here too.
You're in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
And are you guys getting a wild winter storm or it's just the season?
I feel like it's just like a regular Winnipeg day, but we did get quite a bit of snow in the last few weeks. So
Yeah, that's so fun. We just finished our, 10 days of minus 30 or something like that?
Just out of it. And it's supposed to tonight's supposed to be horrendous.
Wonderful.
A snow squall. I'm sure that you guys get plenty of snow squalls in Winnipeg.
What is a snow squall?
See, wow. Weird.
It's just a quick, out of the blue
just a
snowstorm.
Big blast of winter for a few minutes and then it goes away.
Oh, yeah. I feel like ours is like a few days, but it comes fast and furious without warning.
Well, it's nice to have you here on the road, the stage. We're very appreciative that you took some time to hang out with us. Just about a week and a half before a pretty big day for you and Sweet Alibi.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I mean, it's been quite a while coming, right? With the release, it was sort of pushed back for the first little bit of the pandemic, and finally you just have to get it out there in the world. So we're definitely ready as we've ever been.
How long ago was this ready? Was the project where the songs were written and recorded?
Yeah, like I guess we would have been at this in 2019. So we were doing a lot of the writing then, a lot of the like pre-production and just sort of like refining everything. So we would have, I guess we would have already started the recording process in like spring, summer of 2019.
Oh, wow.
And then finished it probably spring of 2020, like the recording side of things. And then, I just feel like every plan that we had after that just was taking a little bit longer. But yeah, we're pretty much ready to go now. So that's exciting.
Not to jump ahead from this because it's not even out yet, but because there's been so much time in between, could you release another album later this year? Like, have you guys kept writing and continuing with things, or has it just kind of been a slower pace?
I feel like all in all, it's just been a slower pace. Like just even, getting together, like to even write has been challenging. Like we do, our Zoom meetings, but it's not quite the same. So I feel like now that we're able to like gather a little bit more, that momentum will happen again. But it was just kind of like a big year of like a question mark and a pause for a bit around here.
So at some point, you're sitting on this for what seems like a very long time. Do you have any change in direction from like, your representatives who are like, okay, well, this is an unprecedented time. Maybe you should think about approaching this record release in a different way, or are you guys all just dealing with that on your own?
Yeah, we're kind of just going with the flow, like as best as we can, given all of the circumstances. Like artistically, I think everything's sort of been solidified for a while. So just sort of, we really wanted to time it as best as we could, where we could be out playing live, right? Like to have, a new album and, something excited to bring to our new audiences and like our audiences that are more familiar with us. So we really wanted to at least get it close to that. But of course that plan is always changing as well. But we're hoping to get out on tour in a few months throughout Canada, like doing a Western tour and an Eastern Canadian tour in the late spring, and then hopefully head to Germany in early June.
Very nice.
So fingers crossed.
Have you spent a lot of time performing in Germany or in Europe in general?
We went, I guess it would have been 2018. So that was our first time there.
Okay.
And then after that tour, there was like a festival that we got, the Black Sheep Festival just outside Frankfurt. They wanted to bring us back. So that was supposed to happen in 2020, but you know how the rest of that story goes. So it got pushed back this year and we're now booked for 2022. So we're just really hoping that it happens because we're excited to go back. Like it was such a blast there.
That's a constant sentiment we hear on the show is how good those Germany shows can be.
Yeah, there's just like an enthusiasm there. Even on the more sort of like intimate shows, like even if you're playing like a smaller, more intimate room, like the show is really happening. Like the sound, the stage, the lights, like as soon as you walk out on stage, like everyone's like standing at the front. And like we hadn't even ever played live for them, you know, and it was just like it's very welcoming for sure.
It almost sounds a little intimidating at the same time. As much as you want people to be front of stage, as soon as you take the stage, I don't know. It's a bit different.
I guess the hope is as long as they're still in front of the stage a couple of songs in, then you can kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something like when you have that energy and excitement there, it's like inevitable to bring it out from you, even if the underlying thing is a little bit of nervousness and maybe intimidation. It's still, it's a pretty high vibe that's going on. So it creates for a lot of fun.
So with these songs, and we have had some time to listen to the new record, Make a Scene, which is very good, by the way. I'd like to add, I've been enjoying it a lot. So Sweet Alibi is you, Amber, and Michelle.
Yeah, and like our Alistair, our bass player, has been there for quite some time.
Okay,
probably since the beginning.
So these songs specifically, have you had a chance or much time to test them on stage?
So like we released a few singles like leading up to this. So we've played a few of those ones. Like Confetti, really great. Slow Down, we've played for our last couple shows we had here in Winnipeg. But the rest is still kind of new and exciting to us. So we'll be doing a few shows around Winnipeg and like our actual CD release in April. So nice. That'll be one of the bigger shows where we get to try them all out.
Do you have to incorporate anything new to your performance, to your stage performance with these new tracks?
Yeah. Like, well, there's just like some horns and stuff like we heard, and some like keyboard parts that we wouldn't normally have as part of our show, but we'll definitely bring it out for certain venues when we can, just because it just adds to the fun of it.
I'm always fascinated with horns getting added into things, because it does like up the level of, oh my God, okay, how are we going to translate this live? A little bit more work. What's the thought process? And when you guys were talking about, this could use some horns here, how did that all go down?
Like, I think for certain shows, it is feasible to have the whole kind of big band thing. And when it's not, like, I find often Michelle does a lot of like melodic lines on guitar or banjo. And then if we have like keyboards there, sometimes they can sort of fill those lines in. It's maybe not going to have the exact same tonality, but it sort of moves the melody in the same way if it's got like a catchy hook. But it's definitely fun, like when you can have, the whole band. We did a show, I guess it would have been last summer, I think, where the Dirty Catfish brass band was playing the same place as us. It was like an outdoor thing because that's all that we could do sort of last summer. But a few of the players from there were playing horns on our album, so they got up and joined us for a few songs, and that was just like, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet those horns, I'm glad you brought it up, because they're pretty sweet.
It fits so perfect. And I'm always curious, like, you get a song's pretty complete, where does it, we could really use a in there, and I'm always curious about how that,
or was it
conversation
premeditated horn writing?
What's that?
Was it premeditated horns?
I feel like, sometimes it will start with like, oh, this line, feels good. And then it's like, I feel like horns is often the like place that most people gravitate to in our group anyways, where it's like, oh, it'd be a cool horn part. So, without trying to overdo it, but like the Matts, Matt Peters and Matt Schellenberg, they're really good at sort of writing those sort of hooky and catchy lines. And he helped like compose a lot of those parts, which I love. They add a lot to the songs for sure.
What's the weirdest instrument that somebody's ever brought to the table and said, hey, we should try to use this? And maybe you did or you didn't?
I feel like weirdest is probably, I have this like multi-effects pedal, and it's kind of like a joke in our band because I got it for like $40 secondhand, and it has like 80 sounds.
Nice.
Some of them are like really, really insane. And like, so I've had this, oh my God, probably for like 7 years now. It did make it onto our last album, Walking in the Dark, on the song Moving to the Country. There's like a little line at the end where it kind of sneaks in. And I was kind of joking, like when we were doing the writing for that, like I was just like, oh, I'll number 6 it, because I don't even know what it is. It's like got like chorus delay. It has all of these sounds that you can like mix together. And then the rest of the band was like, actually, it sounds pretty good. It's like, you want to hate it, but you love it.
Yeah.
So that one made it onto to really great. It's kind of like the more chimey sounding sound, like at the intro and some of the like call response lines that happen. So I feel like, that thing has really like held its own, because it should have been gone a long time ago, and it's like made it onto both of our albums. And it's kind of the sound that when we play live, people are like, what was that? Like they can see me playing, but it just doesn't sound like anything a guitar would do. So I'm gonna vote that one. Like we have a joke that it was, $40 and there's 80 sounds, so it's like 50 cents a sound.
Yeah. And at least one of those sounds is carried on through 2 albums now, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that one of your stubborn thrift store purchases then? Is that the vibe I'm picking up?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it's from the music store, not the thrift store, but yeah, it's one of those things where I was like, this is just so weird. I need to have it. And the rest of the band is just like, oh my God, what is happening over there? And then every now and then there'll be one sound that you're just like, oh, that's actually kind of cool.
So you're saying that effect is on really great on the new record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I don't even know what to call it. I just call it number 6. And like, there's so many things you can dial in. I actually have like a Google Drive file that has each one where they're at, because I'm like, if it were to ever reset, like I wouldn't even know where to start. So I have like a backup in case it ever were to like clear itself, that I can reset all the dials on it.
That's amazing. All right, well, that's my homework tonight, is trying to dial in on that sound tonight. And really great. That's awesome. That's good to know.
Let's get into, if we can, I'm very curious, the definition of a stubborn thrift store shopper, which is you've got that in your bio. Describing yourself, a stubborn thrift store shopper.
Yeah, well, I like to shop at thrift stores, and so does Amber. I would say we're both actually stubborn, me and Amber, out of the band.
Does that mean you're haggling at the thrift store, or?
Oh, I'm sure it's happened. I would not put it past us in the past, but yeah, like just traveling, you can stop at some pretty cool places. Like we were in Austin a few years back for a showcase, and there's just so many cool thrift shops, and they really like take care of their vintage stuff. Like there was one we went into, it was a little more like boutique and small, but they like had everything pressed and hung, and it just was just like my vintage heart was just like pounding. But yeah, so we often will kind of hijack the van if we've got a little bit of time off between shows. And if me and Amber are driving, it's like, oh, there's a thrift store, and we're like turning in, and the guys and Michelle are just like, no, because it's going to be like 2 hours before we leave.
It's a long time in a thrift store, but you gotta explore.
Oh yeah, we make the most of it. That's for sure.
Do you have
to buy more suitcases sometimes just to get all the stuff home?
But you buy the suitcases at the thrift store.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite shop in Canada?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm trying to think. There's a couple, like when we were in BC, I can't remember the exact names of them. Like there's like the classic, like, the Sally Ann's and Value Villages. But yeah, there was a few, I can't remember where. I was somewhere on the island. It might have been in Duncan, BC. There was like a sort of like a market, but one of the thrift stores had a bunch of their stuff hanging outside. So we cleaned up pretty good. Actually, I got this cool thing that I have hanging up my wall there, and it took up like a ton of space in the van. This guy.
Oh, wow. What is that? What is that made out of?
So this is just like stones.
Wow.
And then, so someone obviously like handmade that, and it took up like way too much space in the van, but I was adamant on bringing it home with me. And it's like the first thing people talk about whenever they come to my house. So.
Oh, it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
I have a fond memory of Value Village, on East Hastings in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
And I was recently informed by Brandon Wolf Scott from Yukon Blonde that it is not very good anymore. So it saddened me a little bit.
I was just there when we were out there in September, I guess.
And was it good? Did you get anything good? Any good finds?
I a really cool pink sweater.
Okay.
And it's like vintage sort of like, looks like it's from the 70s, like rust orange and striped t-shirt. But that was a bit of an adventure. I ended up walking there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
whoa, this is yeah, this is a bold move, but I made it and I'm here to talk about it. So
And many stories you have to tell about your
Yeah.
walk on East Hastings to the Value Village.
yeah.
Some parts of the day that entire street is like a thrift store, honestly.
yeah.
Got all sorts of goods to sell. So I want to go back to the album. You mentioned the guys in Royal Canoe. Royal Canoe is a band that I still have yet to see, but I really want to, because from what I mean, I love their albums, but from what I understand, the control they have over their music, their performance on stage is remarkable. So where does Sweet Alibi meet Royal Canoe in terms of them producing your record? Have you guys worked together before?
We hadn't, like, we know each other just through the, Winnipeg music scene.
Yeah.
And just like everything they've done, we love, and it was kind of just like we were thinking about who we wanted to work with. It was, yeah, we were trying to just sort of rack our brains of like, whose stuff do we just like totally admire, right? Because that's always going to be like an inspiring place to start. And when they were brought up, there was kind of like a general excitement between everybody that you could feel that it was just kind of like, okay, this is the direction to go in. And we were happy when we reached out, like they were into working with us. And both the Matt Schellenberg and Matt Peters are just so creative. Like they're just like wizards, always thinking of parts and things to try. And it was just like a really cool flow to like be able to try new things, like a little like harmony things that we maybe wouldn't necessarily normally gravitate towards. And just to have sort of like that playfulness to try those things out and, keep some of it, leave some of it, but just sort of like an overall, I guess, enthusiasm for all of us to just be excited to sort of try their way of thinking about music. And it was a lot of fun.
So you had to go into it just like full-heartedly, like, this is what we're bringing to the table. We can't wait to see what you guys want to turn it into, essentially.
Yeah, sort of like within like staying true to sort of what we do, but like it's kind of like you go to like a certain like hairdresser per se, because like their way of doing things, and you kind of have to give a little bit of that trust over, to sort of let them bring their creativity, right? Because we're coming to them for a reason. Like we've already have the song sort of where we want to get them to, but it's always interesting when you bring new ears, right? Someone that hasn't heard the music yet, you can just get like turn it around a little and look at it from a different angle and see like certain things that could be brought out that we might not have thought of or noticed. So it was really cool that there was just like an ease and flow to like working with them and us like as a whole group.
Yeah, it sounds like a great experience. How long were you in the studio with them?
I guess it would have been like probably overall about a month. Like,
oh wow,
it was a little bit like separated though, because we did like our pre-production and then we did a few, of the beds and tracks like in the fall and then a couple more in the spring. So we did a lot of it at my house actually too, like a lot of the vocals and stuff. We sort of made like a pseudo studio in my basement. So that was kind of cool the Matts are saying like they really enjoy coming into new spaces and like seeing what you can do with the space. And that again is just sort of that like open-mindedness that both of them bring. And they didn't come in being like, oh no, like the furnace is right there. They were just like thinking of ways to work around it and like just very like solution based, and like that makes it easily inspiring, when people aren't trying to like find all the things wrong. They're looking for everything right that can happen in a, structured way, I guess.
And flexible. I can't imagine there are a ton of producers out there that are flexible in that way.
Right. To do house calls?
Or just, go outside of what they're used to or they have in front of them in their professional setting.
Totally. Well, yeah, because there's a lot of, technical, logistical things to think about when you come into a new space like that. And it was just fun to have the amp room be like the spare bedroom downstairs. And we had a bunch of cables running and then some blankets hanging around so that it was balanced enough that it wasn't bouncing off all the walls, and had the amps angled on the bed, just really, kind of creative ways to make it work. And they were saying they have a blast doing that because it's almost kind of like a little art project in itself, being how can we, mold this thing and make it work. And then you feel accomplished after that when you come out the other side and things are vibing and sounding really good.
Do they love being referred to as the Mats?
Yeah.
They have to be at this
point. It could be its own thing.
Yeah, they do have their production company called Deadmen. And so they've worked together as a unit for a bit now. They did a lot of work with Begonia, a gal from the West Coast. I can't remember her name right now. But I know they've done some work on her stuff. So they've kind of just made a name for themselves as being this production team.
Yeah, Deadmen sounds a lot cooler than the Mats.
The Mats, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so you're telling me there's no furnace on the album, on the finished product?
No.
Damn it.
No,
okay.
you better wear a sweater when you put that. It's going to be chilly.
So let's flash forward to release day for the album. Do you take some of your own advice on slow down and kind of stay away from the social media and all of the hustle and bustle of a release day, or do you get full into it and scoping everything?
No, I feel release time, unfortunately, that mantra doesn't really work. You gotta, put yourself out as much as you can, with intention, right? I think it's anything. I was talking to a friend even about just posting and, the relationship to social media. And it's even if you're posting for attention, as long as you know that you're posting for attention, it's coming from an intentional place, right? And so I think, leading up, we're going to start sharing some videos from the studio and just fun experiences that we've had from around that time, just so people can sort of get an inside view of what it was like, even though it was already a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But just sort of, and also to, I think, bring us back to that excitement too, right? It kind of, there's almost nostalgia there now because it was a little bit ago. So bringing us closer to that as well. So we won't be off social media slowing down quite yet, but maybe we'll take a few weeks after or something.
Is there something on the album that you're most excited about for people to listen to finally?
Yeah, I mean, Make a Scene. That song is really a lot of fun. And I think mostly just for people to hear some of the guitar tones and parts that we've put out on there. And there was a lot of work that went into that, and some of the vocal harmonies and stuff, which are still kind of have our signature, but just with a different spin. I'm excited to hear the feedback on that for sure.
Any music video plans?
Yeah, we're thinking about it. It's
oh, okay.
Now we'll have to we've got a live video from I guess, almost 2 years ago now. It feels so long ago. Our song Next Somewhere off the album, we're gonna show a video from a while back when it was sort of first written. We did a live when we were in Toronto, so we'll share that one, and then hopefully between now and our touring season, provided it all goes as planned, that we'll have some time to get creative in that way.
Where was the live filming in Toronto?
It was at this warehouse. I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember the name of it right now. But yeah, it was like a warehouse just outside of downtown, and we did like a couple live videos in there, and it was, yeah, it's got like a really really nice vibe.
It sounds awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Mhm.
Now, with the album being recorded a little bit at home as well, does Gladys make an appearance? Is there any songs that we can hear, like Cat Prince or anything going by?
No.
No,
I
you
thought-
didn't get her on there on purpose.
No,
I
we
saw
didn't.
Gladys walking by earlier.
Yeah, I was like, usually she's creeping around somewhere. But no, she didn't make it onto the album. She did make it into our latest photo shoot though, and she was not happy about it.
Okay.
There's a few of those posted on Instagram, on Sweet Alibi's Instagram.
I have to ask about the name Gladys, because it's not a name you hear very often anymore at all. I'm pretty sure I had some family members long gone that were named Gladys, but like, what's the origin of that name?
Yeah, I have to give credit to one of my ex-partners
Okay.
for me even liking cats, and for that name. I was like totally like a dog person. I used to like ride horses. Like cats were just never on my radar. I'm an animal person. Like
Yeah.
I love all animals, but like if you were to ever ask me like, are you going to get a dog or a cat? It was like without question a dog. Would never even entertain getting a cat. And then his friend's sister, or his sister's friend, her mom had found this cat in the wintertime in Winnipeg. And she was like, oh, this poor cat. So she brought it inside, and like 2 weeks later had this litter of 9 kittens.
Oh,
I guess she had a double litter. She was really up to business when she was out there. So I didn't even know that was possible. But yeah, so Gladys was the last one to be chosen, I guess, because she's Black. People are superstitious and
okay.
and you know, the ones that are up for adoption and stuff. So we went and met her, and I was like, damn, this thing is cute. And then we ended up bringing her home, and then him and I broke up like not that long after, and I was like, I'll be keeping the cat, thank you very much.
Maybe there's something to that superstition.
Yeah, right. So I'm totally a converted like crazy cat lady now. I'm always looking at getting a second one, but I have to be realistic with touring schedule and stuff. It's, you know, managing, finding a cat sitter for one. I want to make it easy. So maybe in the future, but
Gladys isn't a touring cat just yet.
Yeah.
no. Maybe one day though.
That could be fun. I feel like I've never seen that.
I don't think you'd be one of the first, I'd bet.
Bringing a cat on
So
tour.
who looks after Gladys while you're on tour?
Usually my mom, she steps in, and she's actually allergic to cats, but I guess Gladys is hypoallergenic. She's just like this magic miracle kitty that all my friends that are allergic to cats can like pick her up, and they're just like, oh my God, I want to get one. So yeah, her, like my friend Bridget often helps out. So we also haven't toured a ton
Well, yeah.
since
Yeah.
I got her, so I feel like I'll find that out more soon enough.
Yeah.
And I think cats are typically pretty resilient. We had a cat when I was a kid. We'd go on holidays for 2 weeks, and we'd just like make sure there was tons of food and water available. And that cat, honestly, she was fine for 2 weeks. Now, and this is the really bad part of this story, is we lived in a small town, and this is the 80s, so things are a little different. We used to leave our basement window open, and the cat would just come and go out of the house as she pleased.
There you go.
We did that that cat lived to be 23. We did that almost every summer when we went on vacation.
Are you serious? Oh my God, that's wild.
I don't recommend it.
Was the cat always home when you guys got back?
Always. She always came home.
But like when you got home from your
She
2
was in the
weeks?
house pretty
Wow.
much every single
There
time.
you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
How would she like know how to manage her food? That's so wild.
So on the flip side, we have a cat now. And the reason why I brought up the cat too, I enjoy seeing your pictures of you enjoying your cat. Because the cat we have now is an asshole. Like, it's just not a nice cat at all. Hates everybody. And so we did the same thing as we went on holidays for, I think it was about a week, and left the food dish out. She didn't manage it. She ate it. Like, the difference in the weight of this cat from when we left to when we got back was she almost doubled in size.
Oh my gosh.
So that cat, so you got to know your cat, I guess.
Yeah, that cat, I guess, was like thinking that the world owes it something. And
Yeah.
it's just like, you're going to take it all.
Wow, that's crazy. What's your cat's name?
The one we have
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Shadow.
Shadow.
Yeah.
And it's an asshole.
Tuxedo cat. Does not like anybody, does not want any attention paid to it, does not want to be touched ever.
Aw.
Literally the worst cat. But we made the commitment, so we keep the cat.
follow through.
We follow through. And I keep telling my wife, I'm like, my cat I had as a kid lived to be 23.
And you've still got what, like 12 years left with this cat at least, probably?
Minimum.
Well, there you
Maybe
go.
he'll be like Benjamin Button, and like he starts as a grumpy old man, and then as he ages, he'll become like a sweet, cute, and cuddly.
All right, I'm going to go with that.
Let's wait and see. We'll check back in a decade.
Yeah.
Well, I now I got this touring cat idea stuck in my head. I think I really want to see that. Just let your cat like snuggle up in a drum case when you're on stage. And
I'm surprised that hasn't, like, just somebody opens a tour van door and just all these cats come.
yeah, cats, dogs, parrots. Who knows what else? Do you have any plans to get out this way? Do you think anything you can touch on about? I know you mentioned a Western Canadian circuit at some point. What about Red Deer specifically? Is that a place that you guys hope to be someday?
Yeah, oh for sure. Like we've done a house concert there, well, a bunch of times.
Did you do a Jeans Off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
Andy and
I
Laura.
remember this. Yeah.
What is Jeans Off?
Andy Jeans
You like to know.
was running house shows out of his house. Him and his wife were running house shows out of their place up until I think about 2 or 3 years ago.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. It seemed like a pretty cool thing.
It's like they're kind of like family. Like they're just the best people. They have the best friends that just like come out. They really know how to like promote it and put a show on. Like it always feels so great to play there. I don't think we've ever had a bad show at their place, and they're so welcoming. Like I feel like we've stayed there when we're not playing, if we're driving through, and
Cool.
stayed for 2 or 3 days sometimes. Like it's just they're wonderful people.
So if they do this pretty regularly, what's the setup like then? Is it just a basement or a backyard?
It's in their living room, isn't it?
Yeah, their living room kind of has like I guess most of it's in front, but it's sort of like a L-ish shape. But they squeeze in. I feel like there's been like 30 to 40 people for sure, and like it's packed.
Yeah, I've never actually been to one. I used to know him a little bit. I haven't talked to him in a few years, but just some of the pictures I've seen of those shows, I was always blown away by the crowd.
Yeah,
because it always looked like a really engaging, fun time. And knowing him, it seemed like they would treat their band guests very kindly.
Yeah, they're wonderful. So we definitely want to get out there when we can. I think we're just sort of figuring out, like most of our shows are in BC for this time around. But, we'll definitely be back.
Interesting. Shout out to Andy Jeans and his family for hosting those awesome shows.
Andy and Laura,
Laura, right? Yeah, that's
you've
really
been
funny.
to?
No, I've never actually been to a show.
Okay.
I've just been following that page or his page or whatever for years now, and they always had cool acts coming in.
And is the a house in town or is it?
Yeah. Red Deer proper.
No idea.
Mm-hmm.
Soon you'll be bringing the whole
This
gang there.
This is the underground shows, the DIY shows in Red Deer. That's what it's all about.
I find my way to worm into these.
Yeah, exactly. Damn, that's really cool. I actually think I remember you guys. Did you do a show at their place in 2019 or was it like 18? When was the most recent one? Because they haven't done it in a couple of years, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It probably was 2019. Like I think we usually do like a spring or fall tour, so it probably would have been around then.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's been obviously a while just because of everything. But yeah, I think it would have been 2019, or if not late 2018, I think would be my guess.
And with these shows coming up, do you go into them and just, kind of book what you're booking? Do you have backup plans just with the uncertainty that continues to roll into this year? Or is it just these are the dates and we'll just deal with what happens if it happens?
Yeah, like we kind of, like our last tour we did in September, we had one show canceled just because their numbers were really high. It was in Edmonton. But we still just went along with the rest of the tour. And a lot of the places were, had a lot of things in place, like mass distancing, double vax and all that. So we kind of went with it. It does get a little, crazy to think though, because if like one member were to say even feel sick, not even test positive, right? Or then the whole band has to isolate.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like you don't want to think about that, but you kind of have to think about those things. But we just, we're as safe as we can be and following the rules. And we're gonna just keep it planned as if it's going to happen, but keeping our expectations realistic, I guess, is the only way to put it. You kind of just have to see where everything is at when you get there and then make the call. Like when this all first went down back in March of 2020, we were actually supposed to be on tour. And I had gone out a week earlier to visit a friend to do some writing. And we were staying out in this cabin with no Wi-Fi. I got there like March 9th. And then we went to like check our phones on like the 12th.
Oh my God.
The 13th. And we were like, oh my God, what is going on? So then it was like 4 or 5 days of like, not even just us, like every band in the world being like, do we do this tour? Do we go home? Do we cancel the shows? And then we ended up canceling it the night before it was supposed to start, because we were just like, we don't know what the heck is going on. We want to be socially responsible and just, put the brakes on. So that was like the first time we canceled. And then since then, it's just been a lot of shuffling and rescheduling. God bless our manager, Alan, because he's been the one, putting all those puzzle pieces together, even though they're constantly moving. So, we're just gonna, plan to go ahead with it. And as long as it's safe to do so, continue forward.
We've been lucky to have a few guests from Winnipeg on the show so far. And all from very diverse genres, I would say. I think I can confidently say that. What's going on with the Winnipeg scene right now from your perspective? Can you recommend some names, some acts for us to keep an eye out on? Other than Sweet Alibi's new record out January 28th. Make a scene.
Sweet Alibi. As far as live goes, it's been a little, dicey here. But I'm really hoping by like summer, like last summer was a bit of a godsend, just being able to see people play outdoors, because you were like, okay, at least it feels safe and we can still support artists. Like, just playing shows and being able to go out to these outdoor shows was like a godsend after that whole lockdown situation over and over. Winnipeg's always like got great people coming out of it. I don't know if you guys have checked out any of Boy Golden's new stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We had him on 3 months ago now or something. Yeah, it was great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he just hit number one.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Today I saw that on his post. And it's cool just to see, like, with Liam, we played with him when he was with the Middle Coast.
Right.
Years ago, we did some tours. So it's been cool to watch him just sort of like evolve and, be where he's at now, just in his own element. It's been really cool. One of my other faves is Grant Davison, like Slow Leaves.
Okay.
He's awesome. We should definitely check him out.
Our producer is waving his arms about frantically in a good way.
Oh, yeah. So slowly, for sure. Fontaine, she actually plays with Boy Golden. She sings with I've been checking her out a little bit. So there's always good stuff coming out of here. I feel very proud.
It seems like from the outside, it seems like a pretty tight-knit group as well. Like it seems like a really good community.
Yeah, it is for sure. And like, I feel like it's probably become even closer just with, everything that's happened. Like the few shows I've gone to the last like 6 months or whatever, like people are just so amped up, like, and you can just feel the love between everybody and like sort of how much we missed it. So there's definitely a lot of love in this Winnipeg scene for sure.
Yeah, based on our conversation with Liam, I almost got like, I was envisioning, what was that crew called back in the 70s? They were like the session players that were on a million fucking records. rolling something. Anyways, I don't know what the hell their names are, but it sounds like there's an amazing, almost dare I say, cabal of musician, like just talent out there. It's sounds amazing. It's like a revolving door of just incredibly diverse, talented musicians.
Totally, and everyone's like played together.
Yeah.
Through a degree of separation or some way. Like there's, it's very kind of like interwoven in that way, which is really nice. It kind of feels like a big family.
The Winnipeg Music Family.
Love it.
An offshoot of which is Sweet Alibi. Are you involved in any other, like the three of you involved in any other projects?
Yeah. So Amber is playing with Richard Inman. He's an amazing songwriter.
Okay.
They have a group called the Fortune Block. So they're like a duo. They sound great together. I think actually Richard's living out that way, but they were supposed to be on tour. I think it was at a festival. Maybe it wasn't around Calgary right now. There's that winter festival. I think they were supposed to play that, but
yeah, no more.
COVID. Yeah. Anything more. And then I'm going to actually be working on a solo record in the next few weeks. I'm bringing my friend, Scotty Hilson from BC. He was the one I was working, doing some writing with at the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay. On this project?
On this upcoming one. Yeah.
Right,
it was kind of like, hey, let's do like a week of writing and then I'll go on tour with my band. Then that tour got canceled and I was like, I'm now in BC, kind of feeling stuck. I could book a flight home. It was kind of terrifying to be in airports.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, do I go home and like sit in Winnipeg winter or do I like stay in BC? Because we're like off the beaten path and just like go hiking and chill and write. So I ended up staying for like 2 months.
That's incredible.
Good choice.
Yeah. So we ended up getting like so much pre-production, like for basically a whole album. And we've just been doing this dance of like, when are we going to record it? So he's, fingers crossed, going to be here in 3 weeks and we'll get started on that. And then Michelle, she teaches guitar, so she's always busy with that when we're home and not on tour.
So your solo project, is that your first, will it be your first official solo release?
Yeah.
Oh wow, does that make you nervous at all?
It does. It definitely does, because it's like, Sweet Alibi is such a, we're like a machine in itself, right? We've been together for like 9 or 10 years and there's just a comfort in going through everything together, right? Like all the planning, the writing, you just like, you have your crew. And then so when it's just you feel a little more, I guess, exposed maybe, or vulnerable.
Of course.
But it's exciting, right? It's like just another way to be creative and push myself in ways that I wouldn't necessarily get to do with that support, right? So you kind of learn to stand in a different way within your artistry. So,
and do you keep that completely separate? Like, have you played any of this stuff for the girls to show them what you're working on solo wise, or do you just keep that completely yourself?
Like I feel like we kind of do that because Amber writes quite a bit on her own as well. And a lot, like there is often times where one of us will come and be like, oh, I've got this song that's like, 3/4 of the way maybe done, or it's done. And then Sweet Alibi will like arrange it.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And so like, I feel like there's some songs that we bring that like work with the group and just seem to flow. And then others that, are just kind of have their own life outside of maybe what we would do. And so like, I feel like probably a lot of stuff Amber works on like with herself, like her and Richard also do a lot of writing together as well. So there's like some that will make it to the band and some that are just kind of out there. And that's kind of what I've done with these songs for the solo record, just kind of collected those ones that have been, floating around that I've been working on that haven't made their way in. So,
and you've had a long time to, kind of just marinate in those solo projects or those solo songs, with, maybe a little nervousness going into releasing your first solo effort. How do you prepare or deal with second guessing yourself once you're officially recording?
Well, I feel like working with Scotty has been so great for that, because we are really good at just like, if I've come with something that feels like done, but I'm like, there's just something missing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. Cause when you've been inside something for so long, you're like, it needs something, but I'm not sure what. He's really good at just being able to sort of pinpoint those puzzle pieces that might need to move around. And I think that can happen a lot with like a solo artist or a band, like someone that's been, and it's happened with Sweet Alibi too, like when we've been working on something and you're like, it feels pretty much done, but I think it needs like something else. And like, the Matt stepping in and hearing different things. I feel like having Scotty, thinking about the songs too and helping mold them, that's been like a godsend to just like feel like I've been playing these for like a few years now, and like I love them. It feels like there's so much greatness here, but there's something that just needs to be looked at. And then so to have that like outside perspective is just like, it's really inspiring, because then when you start to play around with new things, and you're like, it kind of creates a new excitement for me to be able to, it's almost like you're writing them for the first time again. So there's like that excitement of like a new song almost, because it has kind of been reborn in some ways with a lot of the same pieces that were there before, but just with new places that it kind of moves to that are inspiring and exciting.
And will number 6 be making any appearances on the solo record?
I don't know.
I'm just going to say, like, you could put it on every song now if you wanted to.
Right? We'll just call the album number 6.
Well, good luck with that. That sounds, it sounds like you've set yourself up in that specific project to just have a really good time flushing it out.
Totally.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats. Good luck.
Thank you.
It'll be fun. Pete, you got anything else?
Well, I was kind of saving this.
Oh, boy.
Because I didn't want to, sidetrack us the whole time here. But you had a post the other day about making an old-fashioned.
Oh,
and there was like a cocktail mix that you'd added into it as well, which I also do, but I thought it was maybe a little sacrilegious to use a
Wait, what
explain
to those that don't know, like myself, what do you mean a cocktail mix in an old-fashioned?
So
what's wrong with that?
Well, an old-fashioned is, you've got your set ingredients for it. I almost feel like a cocktail mix is cheating a little bit.
Okay, so an old-fashioned is a whiskey cocktail.
Yeah.
With bitters.
Yeah.
And what else?
Simple syrup.
Mm-hmm. Usually a bit of like citrus.
And like orange bitters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that
simple syrup. I mean, there's
whiskey,
variations,
bitters. But that's the gist of it.
All right.
But I'd seen that you'd had
you mean the pre-mixed old fashioned?
Yeah.
Like the Knob Creek already made one.
Is that what that was in your post? Was the pre-made?
Yes. Yeah. So they have one that you can get that's just, it's like an old fashioned already pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
I still will always add a little bit, maybe more bitters or more orange or something to it. But so this charred cherry, I guess it's a syrup, but it's got bitters and cherry and orange in it. I just add it actually a little bit to the mix, whereas normally you would just mix the alcohols with the charred cherry, but I just totally fucked it up. And it was awesome.
Right? Okay. But it was good. It was a good fuck up. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're on board with pre-made cocktails, but you might have to add something. Is that what we're saying?
Well, yeah, I think don't leave them out of the equation altogether just because it's a premix or pre-made.
I feel like if you're upset with a mix replacing just whiskey and simple syrup and a couple of dabs of bitters, you should probably start worrying about other things. Is that wrong to say?
Maybe.
Anyway,
I kind of get it though. It's like an old
a purist is
old fashioned. It's keep it.
Fair enough. It's in the name.
You know what I mean? Don't try to reinvent it because it's like it's what it is for the reason. I get what you're saying for sure.
So wait,
I felt vindicated when I saw your post. I'm like, okay, good. Like,
now this is something you're pretty new to, right?
relatively, yeah.
You weren't a bitter fan before?
No.
Or
No, I'm not really a big cocktail fan either, right? Like, I mean, I would
okay.
drink, my bourbons and whiskeys neat usually,
Yeah.
but not very much in cocktails.
So it's not the bitter aspect; it's just the cocktail.
Just the
aspect,
cocktail
which you're
aspect.
new to. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. You
Yeah.
gotta
But I've
make
been-
me one of these old
Yeah,
fashions.
I got into old fashions over this past Christmas season, and same thing, just kind of like just trying some different things with it. And
Did you find those you had posted on Facebook? Does anyone know where to find the Angostura bitters?
I was looking for bitters all over the place, and they were just sold out completely over the Christmas season.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
You got to come to if you're in Winnipeg, there's Flora and Farmer. She does like preserves, but she's got kind of like a little local section in her shop, and that's where she's got the Angel Share cocktail mix. So apparently they have a bunch of different ones. So I might have to try a few out.
All right.
See how,
Well,
where I end up.
maybe next time you're in Red Deer, we can crack open a pre-mix bottle of old fashions.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can have a taste test.
Yeah, you guys, maybe that's when you'll finally try a Negroni.
I don't know if I'm ready to stretch my wings that far
He's
yet.
He's not there.
Brownies are awesome. You got it.
He's not there. He's not there. How is that not like I'm not? I've maybe had an old fashioned once in my life because I'm a big Negroni guy. But is that a logical next step from an old fashioned?
Like I feel like it requires like the similar palette because they're both kind of like they both mean business. Like
Yes.
neither
Oh, yes.
of them are, you're not dancing around anything. You're getting straight to the point with both of those. I feel like you should try it out.
All right.
Okay, well,
That's what we'll do. You make an old fashioned, and then I'll make you a Negroni.
All right, deal.
All right.
There you go.
It's not too bad. And we'll wait.
Well, Jess can serenade us, and we'll whip up one of each for her as well. But Jess serenades while we whip up our cocktails.
Yeah.
All right.
The plan is in motion.
For our sweet Alibi listening part. We'll pretend like we haven't listened to the album 4 times already.
Maybe the next Jeans Off we can.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah. We'll all hang out after. This is a very real plan, you guys. This is gonna happen.
Totally. Well, Jess, is there anything you would like to add before we take off? This episode is going to come out next Wednesday, I believe, right? Is that the plan?
26th?
26th? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I can't really think of anything now. I'm just excited. I hope people will give it a listen, and it's been a long time coming, so we're excited to get it out there.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure, and the record's awesome. Good luck. Congrats on the release and everything else until the next time we see you.
Thanks so much, guys. It was nice hanging with you.
Thanks, Jess. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Old fashions. Traditional old fashions versus new age.
I think you can bring a
pre-mixed
little
old fashions.
new age mix in
I
an
don't.
old fashioned.
That seems very picky. To me.
will. Yeah. Well, I think I've told you the story before about like when I was first getting into bourbons, and I had Shane Connery Volk helping me kind of out because he's a
No, I don't remember
I've never
this.
told you the story with this.
I don't
Would
think
we
so.
not bring it up on his episode?
I don't think so. Did he tell you?
Well,
you were
so
going
I
in the
like
wrong
I was-
direction.
yes, very bluntly.
You're like Kirkland bourbon.
This is the way to go. I had asked him. I said, like, do you like just on the rocks? Do you use whiskey stones? And his reply to me was, "Does your mom still blow on your soup when it's too hot?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Savage.
So then it was neat from then on out, and so now, and I think that's what it's in my head. So now, if I'm making any kind of adjustment to something, I'm like, oh, the purists are. If
Yeah,
Shane
that's
sees
fair.
me adding this mix in, this isn't going to be.
So right now, as it stands, what is the whiskey in your old fashioned?
I like to use Maker's Mark,
And you're making your own simple syrup, I'm assuming.
and I'm making my own simple syrup, and
Okay.
I'm going to smoke my own
Bitters?
maple syrup or simple syrup.
Oh, smoked. Oh,
I'm going to smoke the simple syrup, and then you can also your orange. See, again, we're totally going sidetracked here, but
It's
you
all
can
good.
take like if you're using a cherry garnish
Mhm.
or an orange slice, you throw those into the smoker for a little bit as well, and make a smoked old fashioned.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Why don't you just use some liquid smoke?
Eh.
Speaking of purists.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, so that's I think that sounds like a good idea. Next time Sweet Alibi's in town, we'll do a little old-fashioned Negroni, I don't know, whatever we want to call it.
It has to happen.
All right, I think that's a good idea.
And we still need definitely get out to Winnipeg. I do love like everybody we've talked to from that area, and I follow Manitoba Music on their socials. Like I just feels like a great community.
Which is funny because it gets a lot of, I don't want to use the word hate, but there's a lot of people.
Nobody wants to go to Winnipeg, right?
Winnipeg's a cool city, man.
It is a cool city.
But a lot of people, they immediately, why would you ever want to do that? It's
Right.
like, well, they've got a pretty sweet arts and culture scene, as it turns out, if you do a little digging. And, it's an important city in this country, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
So, a shout out to Jess Rae Ayre from Sweet Alibi for joining us. And a sweet little local mention in there, kind of a blast from my past, but Jeans Off Productions, Andy Jeans hosting.
That is a great name. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a rule, but.
Well, it should be, at least for part of the. And is it actually spelled Geans?
No, Jeans.
Or J.
Yeah. Jeans off, baby.
Jeans as in.
No. Take off, get those pants off. Yeah. So shout out to that wonderful family for over the years helping to harvest even more of a scene in Red Deer.
Very cool.
Yeah, it is. And so is Beau's Barn Stage and
Tourism Red Deer
and
Sawback Brewing
and
Go Services Inc.
and
Riley and Ryan are okay.
They're pretty good.
They're all right.
They're pretty good.
Communal Creative Studios helping to put this little dog and pony show together.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of other cool things too.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it this week, so you're going to have to.
No.
You were like www.youtube.com.
The anger needs to come out.
Nope.
I'm too nice. I can't.
There's glassware on the table.
If you get a chance, if you could maybe just hit that damn subscribe button, just pound the subscribe. Matt, did I get it? Is that good? Is that enough anger?
That's good enough.
When are we going to be back at this?
Wednesday.
The Road the Stage is produced by Ryan Cooley and Riley Sur-Yin at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Beau's Bar and Stage.